Racism and racial discrimination continue to be global issues, affecting people of African descent in various ways depending on the country and its unique cultural, historical, and political context. In some nations, these challenges manifest more overtly than in others. This video discusses the state of social acceptance and systemic obstacles Black people face in 10 countries: Morocco, China, Cuba, Italy, and more, highlighting the progress, setbacks, and current situation. So, here's the list of top 10 countries where Black people are not welcomed in 2025. Before we start, make sure you subscribe to the channel and comment your thought. Here we go. Number 1. Morocco. Historical and social context. Morocco's rich cultural tapestry includes influences from Africa, the Arab world, and Europe. While Morocco is known for its hospitality and vibrant cultural traditions, racial dynamics are complex. Black people, including sub-Saharan African migrants and native Black Moroccans, have historically faced discrimination and marginalization in society. Key issues in 2025. Reports continue to show that Black Moroccans and sub-Saharan migrants encounter difficulties related to employment, housing, and everyday social interactions. Xenophobia and colorism are significant concerns, and migrant communities are often stigmatized, facing challenges in integration and acceptance. Though government initiatives aim to address human rights, progress is slow and entrenched biases persist. Efforts toward change. Activist groups and human rights organizations are advocating for more inclusive policies, and there has been an increase in public awareness campaigns. However, the fight against ingrained prejudices remains an uphill battle. Number 2. China. Racial perceptions and discrimination. China's rapid economic growth and expanding global footprint have resulted in a more diverse population. However, Black people, including African students, business people, and residents, often report incidents of racism that stem from deeply rooted stereotypes and a lack of exposure to racial diversity. Current climate in 2025. In 2025, the situation for Black individuals in China continues to be mixed. While some urban areas have become more cosmopolitan, discrimination, often based on cultural and societal perceptions of race, persists. Black individuals frequently encounter challenges in finding equitable housing, employment, and acceptance in local communities. The portrayal of Black people in the media often perpetuates negative stereotypes, reinforcing public biases. Government response and public movements. The government has made limited efforts to address racial issues, focusing more on economic and political stability. Grassroots movements and activist groups are working to foster a more inclusive society, but progress is gradual. Number 3. Cuba. A legacy of inequality. Cuba's demographic is a blend of Afro-Cuban and European heritage, yet systemic racial inequality has been an enduring issue. The country's revolutionary ideals of equality have not always translated to equitable treatment for its Black population. Historical biases and disparities in socioeconomic status continue to shape the experiences of Afro-Cubans. Challenges in 2025. While Cuba maintains a reputation for its strong community bonds and vibrant cultural life, racial disparities remain significant. Black Cubans often face difficulties accessing high-paying jobs, healthcare, and educational opportunities. State policies have sometimes ignored these disparities, focusing instead on broader class-based reforms that do not address race-specific issues. Changing perspectives. Cuban social justice activists and intellectuals have pushed for more dialogue around race, leading to incremental changes. However, systemic issues tied to historical inequities still present obstacles for Afro-Cubans in 2025. Number 4. Italy. Migration waves and social friction. Italy's position as a gateway to Europe has made it a focal point for African migration, particularly from sub-Saharan Africa. While this migration has enriched Italy's cultural landscape, it has also fueled anti-immigrant sentiment, particularly from nationalist and far-right groups. Racial challenges in 2025. Black people in Italy, including migrants and Italians of African descent, report ongoing discrimination in areas such as employment, housing, and public services. Racial profiling and xenophobic rhetoric from some political leaders exacerbate social divisions, making integration difficult. While Italy's major cities are often more progressive, smaller towns and rural areas can be less accepting. Positive movements. Despite these challenges, Italy has seen an emergence of anti-racist movements led by youth organizations and advocacy groups. These movements aim to combat discrimination through activism, art, and public discourse, gradually shifting public attitudes toward inclusivity. Number 5. Russia. Complex racial landscape. Russia's diversity includes a mix of ethnicities, but racial discrimination against black individuals and other non-Slavic populations has been a persistent issue. This stems from both historical prejudices and contemporary nationalist movements that promote ethnic homogeneity. Situation in 2025. Black residents in Russia, including students and professionals from African countries, face racial profiling, harassment, and even violence. Xenophobic and ultranationalist groups contribute to an atmosphere of fear and exclusion. In 2025, while Moscow and other major cities have pockets of multicultural acceptance, many areas remain hostile to those perceived as outsiders. Official stances and community efforts. The Russian government's focus on national security and stability has often sidelined discussions on race relations. However, international human rights organizations continue to put pressure on Russia to address these issues. Local grassroots initiatives have formed in response, aiming to build support networks for marginalized communities. Number 6. Spain. Historical context and migration patterns. Spain's history includes periods of colonization and trade that shaped its views on race and ethnicity. More recently, Spain has become a major destination for migrants from Africa, drawn by the promise of better economic opportunities and refuge from instability. However, this migration has also fueled debates about cultural integration and social harmony. Current challenges in 2025. Black people in Spain, including African migrants and Afro-Spaniards, continue to face discrimination in several aspects of life. Reports highlight challenges related to employment discrimination, racial profiling by law enforcement, and limited access to housing. Anti-black sentiment is often intertwined with anti-immigrant rhetoric, which has gained traction among certain political factions. Socio-political climate. The rise of far-right political groups has exacerbated racial tensions. These groups often use inflammatory rhetoric, contributing to a hostile environment for black individuals and other marginalized communities. In 2025, while progressive parties and civil rights organizations push for reforms and advocate for anti-discrimination laws, the resistance from nationalist factions remains strong. Positive developments. Despite the challenges, Spain has seen growing activism from grassroots organizations and youth movements committed to promoting equality. Public campaigns and educational initiatives are slowly changing perceptions, and there is increased media representation of Afro-Spaniards in positive roles, which helps to challenge stereotypes. Number 7. India. Cultural perceptions and deep-rooted biases. India's social fabric is influenced by a long history of caste and colorism, where lighter skin is often associated with higher social status. This bias extends to the treatment of black people, including African students, expatriates, and migrants. While India prides itself on diversity, anti-black sentiment can be prominent, fueled by stereotypes and a lack of exposure to people of African descent. Incidents and social experiences. In 2025, black residents and visitors to India still report experiences of racial prejudice, from verbal harassment to being denied services. High-profile cases of violence against African nationals in past years have cast a spotlight on the issue, prompting diplomatic responses and public outcry. Unfortunately, these incidents have not fully dissipated, and black people in India often navigate a complex social landscape filled with microaggressions and overt racism. Media and representation. The portrayal of black people in Indian media has historically reinforced negative stereotypes, contributing to societal biases. Efforts to counteract these images are underway, with progressive filmmakers and activists using art and social media to reshape narratives. However, widespread cultural change is slow, and the perception of black people remains influenced by long-standing prejudices. Government response. While Indian authorities have acknowledged the issue, concrete measures to protect the rights of black residents and visitors have been limited. Initiatives aimed at fostering intercultural exchange and awareness are more common in academic and NGO circles, rather than as part of national policy. Number 8. Libya. Historical and recent context. Libya's recent history is marked by political instability and conflict, particularly following the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. This instability has led to a power vacuum, with various factions and militias vying for control. Against this backdrop, black Africans, especially those attempting to migrate through Libya to Europe, have faced severe discrimination, violence, and even slavery. Racial dynamics in 2025. In 2025, Libya will remain a transit country for migrants seeking passage to Europe. Black people in Libya, particularly sub-Saharan Africans, continue to experience significant human rights violations. Reports from humanitarian organizations point to continued instances of human trafficking, forced labor, and detention in inhumane conditions. The social and political landscape contributes to a perception that black lives are devalued, particularly as xenophobic sentiments are widespread. Humanitarian efforts and advocacy. International organizations like the United Nations and various NGOs have worked to highlight and address the mistreatment of black migrants in Libya. However, with the country's governance still fragmented, consistent enforcement of human rights standards is challenging. The local population's views on race and migration are influenced by economic strain and historical racial biases, further complicating the environment for black people. Pathways for change. Despite the bleak situation, international pressure and awareness campaigns continue to play a critical role in advocating for change. The role of digital media in exposing human rights abuses has led to increased scrutiny and calls for reform. However, the road to tangible progress in Libya remains steep and fraught with challenges. Number 9. South Korea. Cultural and historical context. South Korea is known for its rapid modernization, technological advancements, and homogeneous society. The population's relative lack of exposure to racial diversity has contributed to a limited understanding of other cultures, particularly those of African descent. Historically, South Korea's interactions with black people have been influenced by wartime alliances, global media portrayals, and migration patterns. Current social climate in 2025. In 2025, black people in South Korea, whether residents, students, or tourists, report mixed experiences marked by curiosity, cultural fascination, and at times, outright discrimination. While the younger generation is increasingly open-minded due to exposure to global trends, the older population and more conservative circles may harbor biases stemming from traditional beliefs and stereotypes. Forms of discrimination. Black individuals in South Korea often face microaggressions that manifest in various ways, such as unsolicited comments on their appearance, public stares, and exclusion from social opportunities. Institutional discrimination is also present, including challenges in securing jobs outside the entertainment or English teaching industries and biases in the rental housing market. Additionally, Black residents sometimes experience racial profiling by authorities. Media representation. South Korean media has historically underrepresented or misrepresented Black people. Television shows and movies often depict Black characters in stereotypical or one-dimensional roles, reinforcing societal prejudices. However, there are signs of progress as more content creators strive to promote multicultural narratives. The rise of social media influencers and public figures of African descent is beginning to challenge these outdated portrayals. Initiatives for change. Some universities and cultural organizations in South Korea have recognized the need for intercultural education and have introduced workshops and seminars to raise awareness about diversity and combat racism. Grassroots organizations and activists, both local and foreign, continue to advocate for policy changes to improve the experiences of marginalized groups, but tangible results have been slow. Number 10. Japan. Cultural and societal background. Japan is renowned for its rich cultural heritage, technological innovation, and deeply rooted traditions. Its society has long been characterized by a strong sense of homogeneity, which has contributed to a limited understanding of racial diversity. Historically, Japan's interactions with other races have been influenced by periods of isolationism and selective international engagement. Racial challenges in 2025. Black people in Japan often face a dual reality: admiration for aspects of Black culture, particularly music, fashion, and sports, alongside enduring prejudice and exclusion. In 2025, reports suggest that while overt racism may be less common than subtle forms of discrimination, challenges still persist. Black residents and visitors often experience microaggressions, such as assumptions about their behavior, public stares, and discriminatory remarks. Everyday experiences. Black people in Japan frequently encounter challenges when renting apartments, as landlords may show reluctance to rent to non-Japanese tenants. This reluctance stems from fears of communication barriers or cultural differences. Additionally, Black residents report difficulties in finding employment outside of specialized sectors, such as education or entertainment, where they may be viewed as novelties rather than as regular members of the workforce. Media representation and stereotypes. Japanese media has often portrayed Black people using stereotypes, reinforcing misconceptions and biases within society. However, in recent years, there has been a push by some media outlets and content creators to showcase more balanced and respectful depictions. Documentaries, social media platforms, and podcasts are being used to elevate Black voices and share personal stories that promote understanding and empathy. Progressive movements. The Black community in Japan, both local and expatriate, has been instrumental in driving awareness about the issues they face. Organizations, such as NGOs and advocacy groups, work to promote diversity and combat racism through public events, workshops, and collaboration with Japanese allies. These efforts aim to create safe spaces for dialogue and educate the broader public about the importance of inclusivity. Government and policy response. Japan has been somewhat resistant to formal discussions about race and discrimination, as conversations on these topics have traditionally been met with defensiveness. However, with globalization, public pressure, and international attention on human rights issues, there have been subtle shifts toward recognizing the importance of addressing racism. The government has started to fund cultural exchange programs and diversity initiatives, albeit on a limited scale. Conclusion. So, guys, this was the best list of top 10 countries where Black people are not welcomed. Hope you will like it and appreciate it. Racism and discrimination remain complex, multifaceted issues that Black individuals face worldwide, and the countries discussed, Morocco, China, Cuba, Italy, and Russia, present unique challenges shaped by historical, cultural, and political factors. While some progress has been made through grassroots activism and advocacy, systemic change is slow. Addressing these issues requires continued global awareness, dialogue, and policy shifts aimed at fostering equality and inclusivity. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and press the bell icons for latest upcoming travel videos. Bye-bye. See you